What it do, YouTube? It is a new year. It is officially January 2nd, the second day of 2025. Honestly, 2024 went by so fast. Um, and of course, this is shifting. Of course, I asked what topics people would love to hear for this new episode. So as you can probably tell by the title, new year, new me, question mark. So there's going to be a lot of things within the same topics that I cover in this episode. It's basically just one main New Year's, like, what are we looking forward to in 2025? Because 2024 is over, and New Year's here, and the tradition of New Year's is that, hey, once 2025 starts, it's different, it's new, it's fresh for everyone. So um we're gonna see what we're gonna dive into, and especially when talking about what we're gonna do new in the New Year's. If you are new to my channel, new to my podcast, um I like to sip on wine while I talk to you guys. So today I have I had recently for Christmas, I had gotten a the Park Mobile app that a lot of people in Atlanta use when they park, in public areas. The company that owns them also owns, I think, owns another company called First Leaf, and I got a special where I got basically a set box full of 6 wines, catered to my taste that I had to do a little quiz for, and I basically got this $140 value for like $35. Um, you can't beat it. Can't beat it. The one I decided to try for tonight is a wine that I actually haven't had in a very long time and haven't had it often. It's a Zinfandel. So it is, what is it? Lodi, California Zinfandel, which is a red wine. And if you guys don't already know, red wines are my favorite, my go-to. So, oops. I'm going to go ahead and pour that up. And we're just gonna have that on deck. All right, wonderful. So given that this is the first Perk Spot podcast episode of 2025 on the second day of the year, of course, as you can probably already tell, even before you even gonna break down the title of my video, is that we're just gonna, talk about New Year's, talk about goals, resolutions, basically changing things up and getting better for the new year. So the first topic I wanted to get to was setting resolutions. Now, for me personally, I stopped setting resolutions years ago, only because I found that setting resolutions almost felt very unrealistic, especially if I was setting resolutions for something that I was very constant in, whether it was habits, whether it was doing things, whether it was just everyday lifestyle that I had no effort in changing until the New Year's hit. And honestly, it's the same thing as when you're addicted to something and trying to quit cold turkey is not going to work. So for me, I stopped doing resolutions a long time ago. So, and not to knock it, like, I'm not knocking people who do year's resolutions. I think that especially if you're able to stick to it, I think that it's a very noble and self improving aspect of celebrating the New Year's. I think that it's definitely worth a try to start a New Year's resolution and maybe to come up with something that, like, hey, this is what I want to do different for the next year. I just learned that it hasn't worked for me, so personally, I stopped making New Year's resolutions. Um, I think New Year's resolutions are best when they're not drastic. Say if you're, I don't know, say if you smoke like 2 packs of cigarettes a day and your New Year's resolution is to stop smoking cigarettes. more than likely that's not going to happen. It's not gonna work in the long run. You, especially with habits like those, you gonna have to work your way into those kind of things. Setting New Year's resolutions, I think that you have to be real with yourself. One of the biggest things is be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't think that, okay, because it's a new year, because it's a holiday, because it's a celebration, I'm hopped up on that energy and feel like I can change whatever whenever I want. No, you can't. That's why things are called habits. Human nature is not meant to change on a drop of a dime. So setting a New Year's resolution that is unrealistically drastic and changes a lot about how you move and what you do is setting yourself up to basically fail at that resolution. However you need to do it, whether you need to talk to friends, whether you need to talk to God, talk to yourself, be honest and real with yourself. Like, what is it that you can do as a New Year's resolution that you can look at and say, okay, this is something I can actually do, or this is something that's realistic within the boundaries of like what I want to do and what I can do. Because like I said, if you try to make too drastic of a change too quick, it's not going to stick. It never will. Resolutions, I feel like, are low key. The way that people set them up, I feel like resolutions are low key bound to fail. They're made to fail because of the fact that people try to make such a drastic change so quickly. So however you need to do it, just be real with yourself. Be real with yourself, and then my thing is, I'm not saying don't set a goal. Like, if you smoke two packs of cigarettes a day, don't give up on the goal of quitting, cigarettes. Just make it more reasonable, make it more realistic. Say that by the end of the year, I'm gonna drop down to smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day. That's a lot more doable than just saying, all right, I'm gonna quit smoking for all of 2025. You're gonna relapse. Sorry. And not saying that it's impossible, just hyper unrealistic. And trust me, I've lived around people that smoke cigarettes their entire life, and they always say, oh, I can stop any day. Oh, if I want to, I can quit tomorrow. Oh, if I want to. Yeah. You can tell by my expression how that went after those conversations. The next one I want to get to is something a little bit more realistic, setting goals. Now, some people may hear that and say, well, isn't that the same thing as New Year's resolutions? No, and let me tell you why. I think New Year's resolutions are in the spirit of holiday. I think setting goals are something you could do at any point in time in your life. When it comes to New Year's resolutions, it's something that pops up in people's mind at the end of the year, at the very beginning/end of the year, because it's like, okay, New Year celebration, I'm gonna get this out of my system and then we gonna lock in kind of thing. And that's brought on by the holiday celebration of New Year's. However, I think a goal is something that you can set at any time, in any way, in any manner. Yes, they can be hand in hand. New Year's resolutions are, I guess, not I guess. New Year's resolutions are goals. They are goals. However, if you just take it as the aspect of a goal, it has no ties to timing, and it has no ties to when I need to do this, what I need to do by this. It is just a specific goal that you can set. Now, you can add time constraints to it, or limitations or expectations that you want. However, a goal is something that you can set, and you can mess with the parameters however you want to. Once again, I think that that's the other side of the coin, where I feel like New Year's resolutions are a little bit too unrealistic, and I feel like goals, you can almost self-sabotage yourself to not do exactly what you wanted or needed to do. Because if you take it too easy on yourself, you're not going to reach those goals, or the goals that you set are not to the highest of your own capabilities. But I do think that goals are different from New Year's resolutions. I don't know if he stole this from somebody. I don't know if he paraphrased something that somebody else said. All I know is the first time I heard this, it was from, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, where he said the best time to start is yesterday. The second best time to start is right now. And I wholeheartedly believe in that because there's no better time to start now. Also, with New Year's resolutions, I feel like a lot of people will come up with goals and certain things, and then when they tie them to New Year's resolutions, they might wait a little bit to start it. Like, say, it's October, and you're like, man, I really need to get this in order. But New Year's is coming up, the end of the year is coming up, so guess what? I'm just gonna start fresh. Once the New Year's hits, new year, new me type energy, and not gonna lie, I think that that's already setting yourself up for failure. Because for me, if you just set a personal goal, regardless of time, regardless of holidays, regardless of whatever expectations other people have of you or for you, if you start that goal right now, ASAP, pronto, you'll have a much better chance of sticking with it than if you were to tie it to something specific like the New Year's. Especially, if you're the type of person that needs some kind of association with whatever you're doing or trying to achieve with that specific time. You might be 3 months in, 4 months in, like, hey, I'm going to hit the gym every day starting New Year's. And like 3, 4 months in, you start to get tired, or you're, spending so much time at work or here or there, and you're finding a lack of energy. New Year's is done. Y'all are already a quarter into the year, and it don't even feel like, the whole New Year setup thing, especially if you're constantly doing a lot of the same things that you did in the previous year, you'll just fall back into a cycle. Whereas if you set an actual goal for yourself and baby step your way up to it, you're much more likely to stick with it consistently, and much more likely putting yourself in a position to actually change what you want to change. That's my first time tasting this. Okay. Let's break this down real quick. Hold on. Wow, that is flavorful to say the least. If that's how all Zinfandels are, then it's definitely been a minute since I've had one, because this is different. It's almost like a sweet and sour. Like, it's a little. The initial taste is like a sweeter than a red blend, and then immediately the tannins hit your tongue, and it's like you get that salivating rush that you get like when you eat something sour. That's interesting. Very yeah, very it's a lot to pack in that. Anyway, back to topic. Yeah, so anyway, goals versus resolutions. I think that it's much better to set goals for yourself. Those are kind of like my introductory topics to the New Year's that I want to get into. Now, this next phase is like it's like a dual parter. So one of the biggest things that got brought up to my attention, which I've been trying to work on myself personally, is habits. And the person that submitted this said mental versus physical habits, and also forming and breaking habits. Chicken fried or normal? See, for me, I don't eat a lot of fried chicken. I'm not gonna lie to you. Despite stereotypical beliefs, I do not eat fried chicken. I try to avoid a lot of fried foods, actually, especially with what I'm trying to do health wise and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'ma take baked or grilled chicken over fried any day. However, Chick-fil-A is a guilty pleasure of mine. We'll say that. I only eat like 3 fast food restaurants on a regular basis, and that's Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A, and Panda Express. And I guess Panda Express is also technically, yeah, it's fried chicken. So that's Chick-fil-A and Panda Express are the only time I eat fried chicken. Anyway, yeah, so habits. First I want to talk mental versus physical habits. It's one of those things where I don't think that either one are mutually exclusive. I think that mental and physical habits coincide with one another. Not to be confused with like a physical tick. Like for me, I mean, I don't know. That's an iffy subject, because I feel like ticks are more so like the term of ticks is reserved more so for people who have certain ailments or certain characteristics about them that like they do certain involuntary movements, things that they can't control, or things that their brain register as I need to do this constantly. However, I know like for me, a physical habit, I don't want to call it a tick, but a physical habit of mine is like rubbing my chest. I do that so often, and a lot of times like without even noticing that I'm doing it. And it's not a bad thing, of course, but I just noticed that that's just one of my little physical habits that I constantly do without even noticing. Um, I would say that when it comes to physical habits, I'm trying to think of an example that ties in with the whole mental aspect. So before I do come up with that idea, I'll just dive into mental habits and what have you. I think that habits are habits are very hard to break or form depending on what those habits are and what stage you are in life. Oh, excuse me. I think that as an adult, right, there are certain habits, mental habits for me, that I've found it very difficult to either form or break out of. Some might be easier than when I was a kid, and some I probably would have been more flexible with changing or altering as I was a kid. As you grow up, there are certain things that you gather, certain ways that you mature, and certain aspects that you take in from not only your environment but from the things that you know. And it's much easier to pick up and drop habits as you're maturing, as you're growing. I don't want to say this like I'm an old man, but at the age that I am, uh, I'm a very, I'm a pretty set individual when it comes to personality, habits, ideas, mindset, things like that. Am I liable to change? Of course. Am I liable to mature? Absolutely. I want to mature. I want to get better, get more mature, get wiser as I get older. However, I will not deny the fact that there are certain habits that are harder to break at my age that probably would have been much easier when I was a teenager or when I was a preteen or when I was a little kid. Like it changes depending on the age and what you're talking about. For me, I think that it's almost like science. I feel like breaking habits are better than forming habits, only because like you can be real with yourself. You can know like what's good for you, what's not good for you. You can realize what you need to do, and there are certain things that steps you can take, and also people and even hotlines if it's that serious that can help you with breaking certain habits. However, forming habits to me are much more difficult of a process. I think they require a little bit of an extra hand. I mean, sometimes breaking habits require an extra hand, but especially forming habits, especially healthy habits that you never had before. For me personally, I would say that okay, say just the everyday lifestyle. I'm not a dirty person whatsoever. I'm not a dirty, filthy person. However, I can be disorganized at times. I can be messy in a clean way. Like I'll do laundry and I won't, let dirty clothes pile up, but I will let clean clothes pile up sometimes and put off folding laundry, especially like if I'm constantly traveling or going places or working and stuff like that. So the habit of doing things as soon as, like the habit of folding clothes as soon as they come out the dryer, and making sure that you sacrifice something else to put away that time to do things like that. I have gotten better recently, but I will admit that I want to like continuously get better at doing said things like that. A habit that I've broken easily would be putting things in the wrong place, or constantly forgetting something, or um, doing something that causes me to, or gives me a higher chance of forgetting something else. I don't know, like say my dog. Sometimes I low key feel like I kind of have like ADHD, because like if I get on a certain topic while my brain's already on something, I'll start forgetting stuff and I'll be all over the place. And like my dog, when I take him out, he goes number two, pick the bag up, or pick the poop up in the bag, and I'll put it next to the fence and be like, all right, I'm gonna, take that to the trash can once he's done having fun outside and running around, and I'll do it, and then I'll forget that I put that bag there, and then that bag will sit overnight. And for me, I had to break out of the habit of doing that and just going straight to the trash can and taking it initially. And I broke that habit so quick, because it was, I guess it goes hand in hand. Forming the habit of doing it immediately, breaking the habit of just, putting it next to the gate and waiting. So for me, it was more so breaking the habit of putting it next to the gate and waiting. And to me, that doing that was much easier, and it was a very, I've only had my dog for maybe 1.5 years. So doing habits like those, or certain things like that, is something that I've dealt with very recently, and hasn't been such a long time coming. So this drives home the fact that, for one, I do believe that breaking a habit is a little bit easier than forming one, and two, it also depends on what habit that is and how long you've been adhering to those habits. Just a small example like that. And I think that is more so on the mental side of like habits, because it all starts with a thought. It all starts with what you're thinking of. I will say that, do I believe that there's a big difference between mental and physical habits? Honestly, now that I've gone on the spiel and thought as I've been talking, I honestly don't think there's that big of a difference, only because of what I said earlier, which is every action begins with a thought. Unless it's a tick, unless it's a reflex reaction, the things that you do physically are things that you think of doing, that you formulate from, a thought. So I feel like the hardest aspect of doing those things is changing your mental, is being able to adjust what your brain is processing or how you're thinking about things. I feel like the going back to the smoking thing, what I say smoking is more of a habit, I think it's more of an addiction, only because of like the chemicals, nicotine, stuff like that. And people call it a smoking habit. To me, that's an addiction. Have you seen someone who vapes lose their vape? That's not a habit, dog. That's they're addicted to that thing. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. So I feel like addiction is a whole nother subject, like a whole nother thing to tackle. But I think that most physical habits start with the mental aspect. I would say that if you want to break or make habits, I honestly will say that one of your best options is to confide in somebody that you trust, confide in somebody that knows you, that like knows who you are and kind of knows your habits. Because my thing is, you can be as real with yourself as possible. You can be as open, as transparent with yourself as possible. But however, even if you see something within yourself, even if you know a lot about yourself, I feel like there are certain things where you personally will hinder your fullest potential. And I mean to say that as in, when it comes to negative habits, having someone in your corner that can tell you like what's real and be real with you and like break everything down to where you can understand, and where you can kind of just read you for yourself. Because sometimes we're delusional. Sometimes we're blind. And one of my best things about that is like, when I was growing up, right, as a teenager, I had one phase where, going through puberty, from the time I was like born up until like 10, 11, 12. Yeah, when I became a preteen, I like used deodorant and stuff, but like I never thought it was that necessary of a process. I never really felt like I had to have it like on all the time, like as soon as I get out the shower, blah blah blah. And Low key, it was a little embarrassing, but I'm willing to say it. Like, my dad came in my room one time during the summer. I was like 13, and he was like, "Dog, like it is musty in here," and I didn't know because I'm living within my own space, and I ended up becoming nose blind to my changing body. Um, as my body changed, my nose got used to my own personal, sense, what I was, um, I guess, festering in. And when he said that, once I left, took a shower, put on deodorant, went back in my room, smelled my clothes, I really saw what he was talking about. So sometimes it does take an outside perspective to show you exactly what's going on and exactly what you need to work on personally. And ever since then, I ain't been, that musty ever. Because I make sure I take care of myself and my hygiene. And it's funny because I've had conversations with people about this and be like, that one time, like as a teenager, you know, or going through puberty, like when that change happened, when you had to like really keep up with yourself, everybody's like, nah, what are you talking about? Like I always did that. First of all, y'all didn't come out the womb showering with Dove men's soap and putting deodorant on. You didn't. Come on now. Like let's be real. I feel like there's no shame in admitting that there was like that one point where I had to be told about myself because, um, I mean, come on now. We've all smelt people in public, like walked by people, especially Walmart. Walmart's a crazy place. We've all passed by someone, took a whiff, and be like, "Whoa!" And we see it or slash smell it because we're not used to that. Like we're not living what they're living, and we smell it, and it's immediate, and sometimes it's really strong, and we pick up on it because, like I said, we're not in it. Those people that are walking around that smell like that, that look like that, they hopefully it's not that they don't care, but it's a possibility that they don't realize that because that's what they constantly live in. That's what they bask in. That's what's constantly around them. So they become nose blind to their own discrepancies. And sometimes that's what we do as humans when it comes to certain habits or certain mindsets. Like I said, you can be as self-aware as you want to, but sometimes we need an extra push. We need an extra perspective. We need an outside guiding hand to help push us in the right direction. Me personally, I've had moments where I realize the issues that I have or realize what I need to work on, but I'll go to someone like my mother. My mother's one of the most responsible adult grown up people I know in my life. And I say that because like, yes, she's an adult, but let's be honest. Being an adult isn't measured by your age. It's measured by your maturity and the things that you do in the real world. I am not the most adult person in the world, but I can say that I've seen people twice my age that I can say without a fact that like, dog, I'm definitely adulting a little more than you. No, a lot more than you. And it's just one of those things where being an adult is not about age. It's about mindset. It's about how you carry yourself and how you take care of things that you need to as an adult. But like I said, my mom, she's one of the most responsible, biggest adults that I know of, and best believe that I will be asking her for advice and getting her take on certain things until the day that she leaves this earth, because I know for a fact that there are multiple things that she has done, that she has gotten a knack of, that she could give me lessons on and wisdom on forever. Now, are there things that I am better on than her at? Of course. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I feel like is a necessary thing, that sometimes we just have to consult the people that are looking at us from the outside. And it's especially if you have an inkling that you have a tendency to either be delusional or ignore your own shortcomings. That's one of the biggest things. Um, so mental versus physical habits, forming versus breaking. Um, I do want to dive into a little bit of forming, because I've talked a lot about breaking habits. Forming habits, I do believe that forming habits are much easier when you're forming them with someone else, um, or at least having someone to kind of help give you a push in the right direction. It's the reason why a lot of people on fitness journeys have trainers. It's why a lot of people trying to get their money up have financial advisors. It's why we have real estate agents. It's, you can't do everything by yourself in general, and then you want to do everything by yourself well. I don't think that's possible. As a species, humans are very social creatures. We like to help each other out. We're liable to make mistakes and to get ahead of ourselves. So I think that forming habits is great when you have someone willing to help you along those ways. Make sure that whoever you choose to help you with those habits has the patience for what you need, because sometimes you'll find someone who says they're willing to help you, but when it comes down to the aspect of like helping to guide you or helping to push you to those things, they might lose patience very quickly, or maybe not lose patience, but they might not know how exactly to teach you. Um, that's where I think that it's best to have multiple sources of guidance, help, wisdom, something like that, because there are things that my mom can teach me to the utmost ability that I get immediately, that she's an expert on. And there's some things that, she's not so sound in. So I go to other people, whether it be my closest friends or maybe other family members. And there's nothing wrong with that, because just like I said earlier, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. I think that when it comes to forming positive habits, also make sure that you're talking to someone who adheres to the level of positivity that you're looking to put in yourself. Because some people, they may see someone who is objectively successful or objectively has it all together, and they'll ask them for advice on everything because it seems like they have their life together. But just like I keep saying, there are things that every single person is good or bad at. It doesn't matter how lavish or great or perfect their lifestyle seems on the outside. There's going to be things that certain people do better than others. And I know there are people, even my closest friends, there's people in my closest friends where there's certain things that I wouldn't go to certain people about, only because I know them, and I also know kind of their track record with certain things. So I'm not going to reach out to them. Is there judgment? No, not at all. But it's just like, hey, if I need help on this, I'm not going to go to someone that even I could help with this subject. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you're keeping an eye out for who you ask, and making sure that they of course, have your best interest at heart. Oh, excuse me. Me personally, I know that the closest friends that I put in my circles, I don't have to worry about them having my interest at heart, that my best interest. I don't have to worry about them guiding me the wrong way, and I don't have to worry about them giving me advice that I would regret to adhere to, because I constantly. One of the things about me is I like to think that I'm a very good judge of character. I like to think that I put people around me that help me get better and help me grow. However, not everyone has that insight. Not everyone has the blessing of picking friends who are healthy and good for them. And a lot of times that's another moment of self-reflection and, basically being truthful to yourself. Like, are the people I have around me really healthy in this aspect? Are they good when it comes to what I want to do with my life, how I want to improve who I am and what I'm doing? Because someone could be a great time to be around. Someone can, be nice to laugh with, nice to hang with, nice to run jokes with. But then when you want to crack down and do something that really affects your future and what you want to do with your life, sometimes you might look at them and be like, are they really on the same wavelength? Are they really going to be someone who can help me out with doing this, that, and the third? Are they going to be someone who are positive role models or just positive influences on what you want to do with your life? And that's another thing that we have to be honest with ourselves about and transparent about. There have been people that I've had to distance myself from, that I've had to let go, that I've had to stop associating with for those reasons. Now, thankfully, none of them have been anyone that I personally made like really close to me. Because like for me, I tell people, if I say you're like, if I tell people you're a friend, then most likely you're more closer to an acquaintance. If I call you my brother, my best friend, if I call you my bro, that's more into the actual like friend category. Because for me, I take relationships seriously, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, whether it's friend, whether it's family. To me, if you're not blood related and I keep you in the long run, you're basically family to me. You are family. I will call you a brother. I will tell you I love you, and I will mean that shit. Excuse my language. I will tell you that straight up. So for me, when it comes to friendships, I treat that with the utmost respect and with the utmost seriousness. And not everyone's like that, but especially if you are someone like that, to treat your friends as such, to call your friends as such, please just be aware and constantly have that transparency, not only with them, but with yourself, so that you don't find yourself in a position to where your friends are holding you back, to where the growth that you want to experience isn't being fulfilled because of the people you're around. Last thing I want to get into is what the future holds for this new year. Me personally, I'll give a couple updates on just like me and what I'm doing. In what is today, the 2nd? So in about a week, I will start going back to school full time. I made the sound decision to go back to school to finish my degree off. I was supposed to graduate in winter 2020. Obviously, if you hear that year, you know what happened during that year. Schools shut down during my spring semester, midway through my spring semester. I finished out the spring semester online. However, all the classes that I have for summer and for the winter that year got canceled. Due to me being in a small university, some of the few teachers that taught the upper classes, the upper electives and upper core classes that I needed to, did pass away from COVID. So some of the classes that I needed to complete my degree were not available for a year and a half to 2 years after 2020. By then, I was full into the full-time workforce. Then I transitioned into focusing on my acting career. Being young, not having kids, not having anything weighing me down, I decided to spend that time taking the risks and seeing what I could do with it. I've reached a point in my life where I would never give up on acting. That is for one. I never will. Absolutely not. However, I'm also a realist, and I have to understand that there are certain points in, my life and certain moments that I have where I might have to do something different in order to take care of the things that I need to. And that's what these next couple of years would be for me, not just 2025, but probably going into 2026. Now, I am still working on a lot of things personally, individually, independently, whether it's writing scripts, whether it's creating characters, whether it's writing a book that I am doing. I don't know if I covered that in a previous podcast episode, but yeah, I'm writing a book, and those things will never cease. However, I do have to focus on getting things together as an adult, as a man, and making sure that I complete the things that need to be done. So I'll be going back to school full time. Hopefully with everything without hiccup. And if I really lock in, complete everything, get everything done by the end of this year. I'll be graduating by winter of 2025. Um, there's a lot of other developments that have happened recently that I'm very excited for. I think I mentioned it on one of my previous episodes. The modeling gig. The people who are in charge of it reached back out to me, and finally that's gonna take place. Soon, upcoming year. So I'm really excited about that. My first and only modeling gig ever that I did book. And a lot more fun and exciting developments that are constantly happening in my life. Also, 5 years in the making. Our film Midnight is finally having our theatrical premiere at Houston Lake Cinemas. For anyone that's watching, I will put the link in the description below. And please purchase tickets, support. And like I said, a lot of people don't understand how much work went into this, how many sacrifices went into making this film. It's independent. We were on our own, sacrificed work, sacrificed money, sacrificed time. 5 years I helped write, act, and I won't say I edited, but my best friend who wrote, filmed, directed, edited, and produced this film, I watched what he had to go through to put this thing together, and so much work, so much effort that went into it, and I really appreciate it if as many people as possible supported it. So for all the people that will attend and that are attending, I thank you in advance. And for the people who are watching this, I really hope you do attend, because it's a lot of work. And then what's crazy is the things that we're creating now. If you enjoy what we have to put on for this, you're going to love what we're creating for the upcoming, couple of years. It's so much going into it, and we're creating our own path to the things that we need to. And for that, I not only respect myself, but my boy Philip, shout out to him. He's going places. If anyone goes places, it's going to be him. But I just love where this is going. It's already been an amazing start to the year. There's so many things I'm already excited for. It's probably one of the best New Year start-offs I've had in a very, very long time. And it only makes me more excited for what's to come and what's about to happen. The level of energy that I have and the level of determination I have to make certain things work, to do certain things that I have a vision for. I haven't felt like this in a long time. I'm energy wise, just determination wise, just it's gonna be a great year. And I said that last year, and while it wasn't a bad year, there are things I definitely wanted to improve on and things I wanted to do better. But 2024 was definitely a step up, and I don't know, something about it just makes me feel like it's only going up from here. So yeah, that's really all that I had for this episode. New year. Will I say new me? I'm gonna leave that up for interpretation. I won't necessarily say it's gonna be a new me. Improved me? Oh, for sure. Like, things are getting better already, and I can see things are going in a upward motion. But I'm excited. And I hope you guys are excited as well. So that's all I had for today's episode. I wanted to keep it a little shorter because I've been told by a certain someone, your episodes are pretty long. Oh well, I like talking, so what? But yeah, I enjoyed this. I'm happy that you guys got to get these updates. I'm happy that I got to talk with you guys again. So until next time, and also I'm really glad I got to get more consistent with putting out episodes. Yeah, I haven't put out a lot recently, but I'm starting to get in the swing of just cracking down and not wasting time, just chilling in certain moments. Like, if I have the time and I have the ability to do so, I want to get content out to you guys. I want to start making videos again. I want to start getting deeper into the things. So honestly, this year is just a focus on improvement on every aspect of my life, really. And I am excited to take you guys on that journey with me. So love you guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. If you have any ideas that you would love me to do episodes on, any topics that you would love me to cover, please make comments. Let me know. But other than that, I hope y'all have a great night. Thank you guys for sticking with me, and I shall see you guys later. Wonderful.